All right, let's go on a journey. We're going deep, deep inside the brain to explore this incredibly ancient and powerful network. It's a system that really shapes who we are, what we feel, and how we remember. So, welcome to our explainer on the brain's emotional core, the limbic system.
So, our story kicks off with a real medical mystery. Imagine this. A 40-year-old woman suddenly wakes up completely terrified. She's overwhelmed by this disgusting smell that isn't actually there, and this deep, crushing sense of panic. And these bizarre episodes just keep happening, leaving her confused and her doctors totally stumped.
You gotta wonder, right? What on earth could be going on inside her brain to create such a specific and frankly terrifying experience? Well, that very question is our key, our entry point into the hidden world of the limbic system. To crack this case, doctors knew they had to look deeper. These episodes, this bizarre combo of a phantom smell and pure raw fear, they weren't random. Nope. They were like a giant flashing neon sign, pointing directly to a very specific and very powerful part of her brain.
It turns out the culprit wasn't just one tiny spot. It was a misfire, a glitch in an entire network, an ancient system buried deep inside our brain, kind of toward the middle and the bottom. And this thing is primal. I mean, in a lot of animals, this system makes up most of their entire forebrain.
So what is this powerful network? We call it the limbic system. And it's not just one single thing. It's a whole team of structures, all working together to manage some of our most basic fundamental functions.
The best way to think about the limbic system is as a bridge. It connects our basic survival instincts with our higher, conscious thoughts. It's literally the border where our biology meets our personal story, controlling our emotions, our memories, our drives, and even our sense of smell.
And hey, there's a super simple way to remember its main jobs. Just think of the word H-O-M-E. H is for homeostasis. You know, keeping your body in balance, handling hunger, thirst, temperature. O is for olfaction, our sense of smell, which is a really powerful primitive link to the world. And then you have M for memory and E for emotion and drives. And here's the kicker. These four jobs are all deeply connected.
Now, for each of those letters in HOME, you can think of a star player, a key structure doing the heavy lifting. We've got the hypothalamus for homeostasis, the olfactory cortex for smell, the hippocampus for memory, and the amygdala for emotion. So to really get this, let's start with memory and one of the most famous and tragic cases in the history of neuroscience.
To truly wrap your head around the power of this system, we need to meet the man who basically taught us everything we know about how memory works, or how it can break. His name was Henry Malaysian, but you've probably heard of him as Patient HM.
The year is 1953. HM is 27, and he's suffering from epilepsy so severe that doctors decide to try something radical. They surgically remove a part of his brain from both sides, the medial temporal lobes, which also takes out key parts of his limbic system. And it worked. His seizures stopped. But the price he paid was just shocking.
What happened next was unbelievable. The surgery literally split his memory in two. HM completely lost the ability to form new conscious memories, facts, events, what he had for breakfast. But here's the wild part. His ability to learn new skills was perfectly fine. He'd get better at a drawing task every single day while having absolutely no memory of ever doing it before. Crazy, right?
This really shows the devastating result. His memories from before the surgery in 1953, they were safe. But after that day, his ability to create new memories just shut off. The condition is called profound anterograde amnesia. For the rest of his life, he was trapped in the present moment, unable to form a new memory.
HM's tragedy gave us an incredible gift of knowledge. It revealed that the hippocampus, the part they removed in his surgery, is basically the brain's save button. Now, it's not where memories are stored forever, but it's the critical piece of hardware that takes our day-to-day experiences and makes them stick. Without it, the present just vanishes.
Okay, so HM's story gives us a crystal clear picture of how the limbic system handles the M for memory. Now, let's go back to our original mystery and focus on the E, emotion. And this brings us to our next key player, the amygdala, and the solution to the case of the fearful smell.
So buried deep in the brain, right next to the hippocampus, is this little almond-shaped thing called the amygdala. Think of it as the brain's emotional highlighter.
It's the part that scans your experiences and attaches feelings to them, especially the big ones, like fear, anxiety, and aggression.
So how does this solve our mystery? Well, it all fits together perfectly. It's a simple three-step chain of events. First, we know the amygdala is the brain's fear hub. Second, it's hardwired directly to the system that processes smell. So when a seizure, which is just a chaotic storm of electrical signals, hits that exact region, it can do two things at once.
Her seizure was the perfect storm. It slammed the activation buttons for the fear circuits and the smell circuits at the exact same time, and boom! The result is that terrifying, unified experience. Pure panic and a foul odor that isn't really there. And just like that, the mystery is solved.
But look, this is about way more than just solving rare medical cases. Understanding what happens when these ancient limbic circuits misfire is absolutely critical, because it's connected to a whole host of conditions that are much more common.
What the woman experienced is a classic example of what's called a complex partial seizure, and you can see how it's different from other types. You often get that aura beforehand, the fear, the strange smell. The seizure itself lasts longer, and afterward, the person is left feeling confused. All of these are textbook signs that the limbic system is involved.
And the impact goes way beyond epilepsy. When this network, especially the amygdala and hippocampus, isn't working quite right, it's now strongly linked to conditions that affect millions of people, like anxiety disorders, major depression, and OCD. This is exactly why it's so important for us to understand these circuits.
I just love this quote because it perfectly nails the whole idea. The limbic system isn't just wiring, it's the exact border where our biology meets our biography. It's the reason a certain smell can zap you right back to your childhood kitchen, or why a song can make you feel overwhelming joy or sadness. It's where raw experience becomes human feeling.
And that really leaves us with one last huge question to chew on. If this ancient, hidden system is pulling the strings on our memories, our emotions, our deepest sense of who we are, then just how much of what we call us is actually the product of these powerful, invisible circuits firing away in the dark?